Greetings, Summoners. Cosmic here, and welcome back to another Battle Spirits Saga video. And today, we have some finally exciting news. And I know it's not Friday, so this might count for the weekly update, depending on what else we hear. But it was so important, I felt like I had to get out even a quick video if it wasn't Friday, but just because I want you to be able to sign up for this as quickly as possible. I don't think they're going to run out or anything, but, you know, it helps get your name out there. And I do apologize. This will only be for the United States and Canada. So Play TCG is based out of Houston, Texas. So that's my small disclaimer here. But this should be good news that other regions should be hearing from their respective TOs or distributors about how you can get demo decks at your house and then go to your local game store. So again, we knew from the start the early adopter wouldn't be the only way that people could play before March, but it's good to see this is finally coming out. So if all you care about, there were also some spoilers, but if all you care about is a demo deck, link is down below in the pinned comment. Go sign up. Please make sure to go file Play TCG. They're going to be one of our premier TOs as well for Battle Spirits Saga, so I'll see you all in Texas sometime next year. I'm sure they'll have an in-person regional. But make sure to follow them, sign up for this awesome giveaway as well, sign up for the demo decks, and hopefully, it says ends January 8th, which does bum me out a little bit, so I don't know if that's like we're going to send them out as we get them, or is it going to be we send them out like sometime after the 8th, and then it's like middle of January, because does that mean we're waiting until mid-January for the early adopter stuff? Hopefully not, but I get, again, holidays and all of that, and we'll make a different video at a different time when it's relevant. So, again, demo decks are great. This is exactly what we saw at Dragon Ball Super National. So you've seen the previous tweets, you've seen all that stuff already, but it's nice to get it into the hands of players so you can go talk to your local game store, get other people excited for Battle Spirits Saga, and just demo the game and share the news. So super exciting. Again, go check out the forum. Will be linked in the pinned comments. Sign up, spread the word, and make sure to invite your friends to either the Discord group or the Facebook group. However you want to connect with the community, there are multiple ways to do it, and I encourage you to go check that out as well. But you know, demo decks, that's exciting. But the real thing that a lot of us have been waiting for, and especially for, you know, someone who wants to create content for the game, and I might not be on Bondi's radar yet, but hopefully I can get some type of either reveal or just we get reveals in general, because I want to do a starter deck gameplay video and not just have like the red versus red demo game, which I sincerely appreciate everyone who's checked that out so far. I'm really shocked at how much traction that's got, but it's good to see. That means people are interested in the game. So please, Bondi, or just like again, send it to anyone. I don't care. Just let us have official spoilers for starter decks so that we can create more content around it and create more discussions. But if you saw the lore video that went out recently, you might start to recognize some of these spirits. So we did get official spoilers, and I'm going to call them official because they're in the database, so they have to be official. But we did get some spoilers for the spirits that are featured in the lore video that are on the Bandai TCG Plus website and app, I guess, technically. And if you're not familiar, that is the app that Bandai uses for all their tournaments and for your local like weekly events. You can usually register decks that way, but no one really requires them for weeklies. But it's pretty important. So if this is your first Bandai game, I'd very much encourage you to go check out that website or download the app on your device, because it's super helpful for your locals and making sure you're signing up to play and all that good stuff. So up first, we have Bone Scout. It's a 2 cost with 2 reductions. So again, remember the way reduction works is that if you have 2 of these symbols in play already of the purple, it could be another spirit, it could be a nexus, that's going to count towards your reduction cost. So this could be a early 0 cost, but you still have to put 1 core on it, right, to keep it in the field. You still have to summon them at Thor level 1, so it would be a free 1k power unit, again, if you have 2 other symbols in the field. So this is one of those things that it's really hard to tell where the power direction is going to go. If you remember, we've covered over a dozen, you know, new launches at this point for various games, but early on, there's usually either you have vanillas you have to play because they're going towards a certain mechanic. So in this case, it'd be like the reduction, like this being able to be a free reducer is pretty relevant. Plus, it is a 1000 power, so it wants to die, and that's good in purple because it triggers other things. But typically in other card games, that when they launch, you almost never play vanilla units like this. Like there's no real good reason to play it if it doesn't have some other kind of text or value attached to it. Or if per se there was something that said if you have 3 undead units in play, right? Because then it counts towards the undead tag that it has right under its name. Those are kind of the other conditions we would expect to see. So from a Battle Spirits, you know, standpoint, you know, early on, yes, they had vanilla stuff. There's other reasons why you'd want to play this. It seems like it might be fine. But from other card games and what we've come to expect, it's really hard to say that, yeah, this is a guaranteed, it's going to go in every purple deck because it's a free reducer. So I'm really curious to see where this is going to end up. On the other side of that, though, we have Stray Soul, which is those demon skulls that were flying at you. Or I guess Darkling is the type there. But 3 costs, 1 reduction. So again, at the cheapest you can play it for then is 2. And you must always put at least 1 core on it or summon it at its level 1. When summoned at 1, 2, or 3, select one of your opponent's exhausted spirits, remove a core from it, and place it into their reserve. So purple is all about core removal, and this is essentially... it could be a removal spell that is attached to a unit. So where I was very uncertain about Bone Scout and, where that power level is going to come into play at, removing cores, removing spirits is just good. So Stray Soul, I would expect to be a staple in one of the purple decks. And maybe the thing that I'll add here as well is, remember, we're getting at least 2 different deck types for each color, and likely the starter deck will then be a third option for each of them. So while it might not be a thing that you do in every purple deck, removing cores are pretty fundamental to the purple identity. So I wouldn't be surprised if then Stray Soul is getting either splashed in multiple decks or it makes an appearance in later sets, or I should say in decks in later sets, just because of how good that effect can be early on. So I think Stray Soul is definitely a card that we can look forward to. And then beyond that, if you know me, I love yellow. And yellow is always a tough spot to be because it's a color that you have either these really cool like OTK synergies, and I say OTK loosely here because it's more of like you're building up this spam rush board. We have such a wide field that, one removal or one stop in the attack phase can just ruin everything. But it's cool to see how that playoff mechanic happens because it's really like it's not like Red Rush, but it's kind of like the white weenie deck from like Magic, to put in those terms, where it's like you're just building out this army to get some effect, and they do it really well. But what was interesting in particular here is both of these spoilers kind of point us in 2 different directions. So with PENTAN, it's a 2 cost with 1 reduction. So again, the cheapest can be is 1. And at level 2 and level 3, so again, it is a 2 cost. The cheapest can be is 1. You put 1 soul core on it at level 1, but you don't get the additional effect unless it's level 2 and 3. So if you haven't played Battle Spirits yet, that 1 extra core might not seem like a big deal, but it can be, and that is actually a pretty costly effect. Now, that said, you are getting that reduction value back another way, so very likely you're just going to have this at level 2 anyways, but it's something that you're not just going to get for free. So there is the option where you play this early. It counts as reduction, right? So it's a 1 drop that you play for reduction reasons. Then on your next turn, it helps you play more of your other spirits cheaper, as well as those Magic cards that might become beneficial later on. Again, we're kind of waiting to see the more official spoilers for Magic, but the fact that this is not just your turn, it's both, right? Reduce the cost of the first Magic you use each turn by 1. That is your opponent's turn. That is your turn. And yellow likes to be tricky. That's the other part I love about yellow. It's this very mischievous color for their magics that they get to use. And they're all these just beautifully illustrated cards, right? The mascot region, as it were. And I am super excited that we got PENTAN finally. And there's so much more that goes into that, and other PENTANs we'll get in like the PENTAN Village. But I won't go into that too much. Later video, later time. But very, very excited for what this card means. It's got to see play. Like, I'm just convinced that it will. And then the other one is our Phantom Beast King Liin. This one is interesting because it's a fabled beast, and even if the early leaks we got are true, there hasn't been anything in particular that gets us excited for fabled beast. But it's a 9 cost reduction of 6. So again, this is where I was talking about. I have to use a term. I'm trying to use the term OTK as loosely as possible, but it's one of those things where I think people just overgeneralize, like, oh, if I'm building up a massive board and kill you in 1 turn, that's an OTK, which by definition would be true, but it's not something like, oh, I get it on turn 2 and you're automatically dead and there's no interaction, right? Even in Battle Spirits, even if you have 10 different attacks like you can do and your opponent only has 5 life, there's going to be multiple ways and multiple colors to stop that. So it's not as OTK prevalent, I should say, as we might have learned from other games, depending on what your background is. So 9 cost, 6 reduction. Level 1, 2, and 3, when summoned, select one of your opponent's spirits for each fabled beast you control. They are treated as level 1 during this turn. So this is really interesting right off the bat. One, we are seeing a level reduction effect in yellow, which is one of their other gimmicks that they get. So, right, you power down all of your opponent's units, making it easier for your go wide board to either trade equally or get some other effect where they're ignoring those cards. There might be something like they can't be blocked unless they're level 2 or higher, things of that nature, right? Like, level synergy does play a very relevant role in this game, and why one of the many reasons why I've been so excited for Battle Spirit Saga to get more cards like this. So I love to see it. However, big however, is that first part is Fabled Beast. So going back to what I mentioned about purple, there should be multiple themes or decks. So Fabled Beast is certainly going to be one of them. But how many Fabled Beasts are we going to get? How good are they individually? Is this something that's going to be your top end payoff, that those Fabled Beasts really come through and, you know, all synergize really well with one another? We don't know yet. This is kind of a really interesting spoiler to get early on without any additional context. So yes, again, this was all in the lore trailer video. So yeah, I get why they showed it, but as someone who is like really excited for yellow spoilers, right? Like PENTAN, one, I just love the card. Like the art is adorable, but the effect is also super strong, right? And then the Phantom Beast, it could be a strong effect. And again, we're just talking about the level 1 right now, but we really kind of have to see where the rest of the Fabled Beasts go and how relevant that's going to be. And then the next one is at level 3 when the Spirit attacks. So for 4 cores on it, and in yellow, that can be pretty expensive, right? Yellow is a go wide strategy most of the time, especially if it has a 6 cost reduction. So your cores are spread very thin across all of your units. So this is going to be a kind of a costly effect to get off unless we see some kind of ramp style of effect in yellow, which we could. There are multiple cards. We're having this discussion in the Discord, but kind of have to wait to see. So if you control 3 or more spirits, that cost 2. So again, PENTAN. So this is like the other part where it's like 2 cost spirits now. This spirit cannot be blocked by spirits with any effects listed. So this goes back to the whole vanilla thing. So I am really torn on where this is going to end up. Are a bunch of the Fabled Beasts going to be 2 drops? Is this going to be going with the Calamity Beast that we've seen from the early previews? Like it doesn't, I like the effect. I think it could be a very strong card in what it wants to be doing, but it doesn't hit as strong as the rest of the spoilers so far. So I'm sure there's going to be Fabled Beast support. I'm sure there's going to be like a really strong Nexus reveal that we get, and that's going to make me look like an idiot for this video. But as of right now, I'm just not excited. PENTAN's awesome. 10 out of 10. Love this little dude. Definitely going to see play. Phantom Beast King, maybe? Like, it's got to be something. It's only a rare. It's not an X rare, but like at the same time, I feel like because it's so unique in what it wants to be doing, that this just absolutely has to see play. But perhaps the thing I am most excited for, and I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did, but holy cow, the white spoilers were just insane. So for those that don't know, for like the other, like I'm all in on yellow. I love the tricky stuff. I love like the setting up a wide go wide board and try to like kill my opponent one turn with like some really cool crazy combo effects and magics to trick up my opponent, all this other stuff. But the thing I love beyond that, other than just like mechas in general, I just love playing big dummy thick dudes and just these absolute walls that my opponent has to deal with. And that's what we got. Like this is so great. So Fortress Metropolis, and I believe it's Naumann City. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be butchering these. Is just a sweet card. So during your main step, when you summon a Machine Beast Spirit card that costs 6 or more, count the symbol on this Nexus as 3 white symbols. So we are getting a triple reduction on effectively turn 1, right? That is enabling your deck. Now, we've seen 2 other cards, which we'll talk about shortly, and also the white starter deck card, or the key spirit, I should say, that's on the front of the display, is also a Machine Beast. So we are very quickly starting to see this strategy come online where we're going to have some big units that we get to play. And yes, it's going to be really awkward that you're going to want to heavily mulligan for this Nexus, most likely, if you're all in on that strategy, but there will certainly be other cards that you want to play turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, what have you, while you're kind of leading into these other strategies. But just one of these Nexus, like one of these Nexus and one unit on the field is probably going to be the max reduction for most of the Machine Beasts, right? The one that we have, we're going to talk about in a second, has a max reduction of 4, and that's all you need. So I'm really curious to see like what other type of strong effects that we get for this. But even just, again, level 1, you Nexus don't have to have a core on them, so you just pay it for 4 on like your first turn, drop it in the field, and then you just get insane reduction value for it for the rest of the game until your opponent removes it or has a way to interact with it. But even beyond that, during opponent's turn, all your spirits gain 1,000 BP. So this is an interesting one because we don't quite know where like the various thresholds are going to be. So like, for example, we know from the demo decks, Landmine hitting 3K is really good. So if this allows you to go from 3K to 4K and then play around your opponent's burst, that could be very strong. But if it's, 4K is the threshold and this is only getting us to that 4K, then that level 2 might not be as strong. I think it's a good effect. It just depends on where those different power levels are going to come in at for both. I guess technically you'd want to count Confront in red as well, because it's forcing you to block, and that's basically a removal spell. But we'll have to wait and see where some of the other effects come in line with. So if you're playing Machine Beasts, yeah, this card is obviously a 4 of. You're going to love to see it. It does exactly what you want it to do, and it's a really strong effect. But beyond that, the thing that really kind of got my attention, because I love ramping, I love drawing cards, and the Mechabeast Fortress Naumanngard did exactly all of the above for us. So when destroyed by opponent, draw 3 cards and place 3 cores from your void into your reserve. So I do want to be careful about the wording here. So at the time of this recording, and because we don't have like the CR or comprehensive rules yet, depletion is the same as being destroyed. So if you only have 1 core on this and your purple opponent per se wants to remove the core from it, you're still going to get the on-destroyed effect. If that remains to be seen if that's going to be the official ruling, but for right now, sure. Now, the other part of that is, when destroyed, it's a 7K. Like, there are a lot of, so if you're playing red, you're playing yellow, you're just going to go around it. Like, who cares? So it's very difficult, I think it's going to be, to, consistently get that effect off. And it always gives your opponent the option to play around it, but it's still very strong for what it wants to be doing. But beyond that, like that first part, I was already on board. Like, cool, this does all the things that I want to do. Love it. But the level 2, and again, 4 cores, so it's pretty expensive for the effect. Let's be very clear about that. Perform a refresh step after your attack step. This effect may only be used once per turn. So the refresh step is not just your spirits becoming active again so they can block, which again is exactly what white wants to be doing. Like, this is perfect flavor for them. You are also getting your cores back from the trash to your reserve, which means in the color that wants to do all the super annoying magic stuff, like hopefully we get Burst Wall or other, bounce effects and other things that stop your opponent's turn in white, you're now ramping back their magic so they can play those other spells from their hand. So this is a scary card. Like, I'm super excited. Obviously, if it's, you just summon it as a 7K, if your opponent doesn't have a lot on, maybe just take a Chip of Life, that's fine. 7K is a good blocker as well, so they can't just freely swing out early on unless they're trying to swing for multiple attacks. I love it. Obviously, it has its weakness, but that's level 2 is very spicy. So, first I read the Nexus, then I saw this level 2, and I'm like, all right, you have my attention. And then the last thing I just want to include, the Divine Moonsky Beast Fanatec Elk. I love these names. Because it also is one of the spoilers we have on the site, so it should be official. But noticing that it is a 3 reduction with a cost of 7, so it plays very well into the Nexus to help, again, ramp out these bigger threats and bigger insane machine beasts early, so you can start progressing your game plan. So I'm very excited for it. So with that, this again might count for the weekly update unless we get something else, but I figured, hey, I'll talk about the spoilers, talk about the demo decks, and hopefully you can sign up. Now, again, I do apologize. If you are in EU or the other regions, I'm sure something is going to happen from either the distributor level or TO level, so please, please, please look forward to it. But with that is all for this, I would say this week's, but I guess just today's. Again, who knows? We don't have any confirmation on when spoiler season's starting, so this is exciting. But that's it for this video for our Battle Spirits Saga spoiler review and the demo deck preview, so I hope you will follow for more content here in the future. Again, as soon as we can get spoilers and as soon as we can get demo decks or starter decks, we'll get more gameplay or more gameplay on the channel, so please look forward to it. But otherwise, stay hydrated, my friends. Take care of yourself. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.